Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV. Myself and Boz. It is weekly roundup time. Looking back at Wednesdays, because we hardly ever play on a Wednesday, and twice this season now, which is weird. Anyway, off on a tangent. Wednesdays, FA Cup thriller. I'm sure for the neutrals it was wonderful. For us that were trying to watch it on social media, and I'm sure for those that went and were involved in it, it probably weren't quite as fun until that final whistle went. Mad game. I said to you earlier, I don't think I've ever been so nervous watching a football match on social media. 2-0 down. 2-1 down. Thomas Holy makes a big save at 2-1. Their centre-half then decides to punch it in his own penalty box in the last minute of injury time. Wasn't confident with time he's taking it, I'm not going to lie. For all his exploits this season, he's not great at pens, but he tucked it away.
Not just that, I was just thinking this is the FA Cup, I know what's coming here.
It was either that or then I started thinking we're going to get knocked out on penalties now. But then credit to us, extra time, yeah. Luke O'Neill, brilliant free kick. Elliot Lee, smart finish. But it wouldn't be Gills without then conceding another one late on and squeaky bum time for the last couple of minutes. But we saw it out and that was the main thing. Few players were in focus after the game. We'll start with what's probably the slight negative, which was Thomas Holy. At fault for the first two goals?
I think so, yeah. Particularly the one he spilled. Just needs to be stronger with it with his hand. If he can push it away rather than almost palm it straight to him.
Pushes it back into the middle of the 6-yard box, doesn't he? Which I think if you listen to any sort of goalkeeping coach worth their salt, they say that you get a lot stronger hand on it, like you said, and you palm it out of danger. But unfortunately, he's palmed it right back to the geezer's feet, and he's got a tap in. Someone said to me on Twitter that they didn't think he was at fault for the first, and Zakwani had to take some of the blame as well. But for me, as a goalkeeper, especially one that size, I've always been brought up and heard goalkeeper coaches say to me at Sunday League level, if you're the keeper, you come out and you take everything with you.
Yeah, so, you come out, you make it yours, don't you?
So Thomas can come out, punch it clear, clean out Zakwani if he has to, and I'm sure Gabby would have been happy with that rather than us conceding and going 1-0 down. Some people said they thought he was at fault for the third as well, but I didn't think he was. I thought it was just such point blank.
Yeah,
I thought it was more the three defenders that let him juggle it around the 6-yard box for what seemed like a week and a half. And then it looks like it's hit Thomas on the shoulder and just bounced in. I don't think he's to blame for that one. But on the flip side, looking at the highlights on the BBC last night, he makes a massive save at 2-1 down with a few minutes to go, which ultimately keeps us in the competition. Because if that goes in, it's 3-1 with 5 minutes to go, that's done.
I think that's sort of been the story of his season. There's been a few times at home games when I've said to you, I think he probably should have kept that out, and then later on he's gone and made a brilliant save and not one of the
points. What was the one in that home game where the ball point blank and he literally just flung up an arm and pushed it over the bar, and we was like...
Oh, he was sort of standing, wasn't he? His arms just
going the wrong way, and then he made a good save against, was it Bradford, I think, early on, when all his weight was falling to one side and he managed to get an arm up.
People have got to remember, he's a League One goalkeeper.
Like we say with everything, they're League One for a reason.
Last season he had a very, very good season. I think a few people hit the nail on the head today when they're saying Glenn Johnson going has made a difference. I don't think he's particularly bad. I just think he's not been as good this season because whereas last season we were defending well, this season we said plenty of times there's no balance, is there? We either
it's one or the other,
go forward well or we defend well. We don't really do both.
But at the same time, yeah, and if we could just get them both sorted out, we'd be a lot higher than we are.
Team, yeah.
But if we get them both wrong, then we'll probably be about where we are.
Obviously, it's one of them, and as a goalkeeper, you make one mistake and you're going to be...
Oh, of course, and it tends to lead to a goal 9 times out of 10, where a striker can miss 3 sitters and still score a hat-trick and no one talks about them. But someone today, I think it might have been Dutch Gunderson, did tweet and say, yes, Glenn Johnson's gone. Yes, Glenn Johnson is a very good goalkeeping coach. But should him leaving have that much of an effect on Thomas Holy?
I wonder if it's to do with... How can I put it?
Is it routine and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I think they came across as good friends as well.
In terms of social media, what we saw on Instagram with Glenn and that, he was very involved with them.
It may just be, obviously, when he came over, he
could
struggled.
Just be coincidence.
It could be, but when he came over, he struggled, and then Glenn came in last summer and he was a different keeper because he had someone there working with him every single day.
Yeah, maybe it's just taking time to adjust to the new fella, I suppose.
It makes a difference when you have a keeper coach, but I mean, you mentioned it once or twice already, but have we already changed our goalkeeper coach this season?
Well, it looked like, I can never remember his name, it's the geezer with a double-barrelled surname.
Chalmers
Stevens, and then we had a random one at home to Fleetwood, I think it was, and then it was Chalmers Stevens was back for the game after that against Blackpool, I believe, so maybe he was ill or something and just couldn't do that day, but...
He's going to make the odd error, but at the same time...
The League One players aren't they, which is what we say about most people at this level. You're going to get the odd Bradley Dack, the Nick Powells that are too good for this level, but majority of the time you're going to get everyone's going to throw in an 8 out of 10 and then throw in a 4 or 5
I've
out of
seen
10.
one or two things on Twitter this week with other League One fans debating like the best players from other teams, and a lot of people have got him as one of the best keepers in the league.
I think he was in someone's tweeted a top 5 keepers and he was in it. So yeah, so that says all you need to know really, that he's still highly rated, and he's probably more highly rated by other teams than ours, and that's good because that's 19 other clubs.
At the moment,
23 other
he's
clubs.
in a team that we're very up and down, and I know there's been a few more downs lately, but as you say, he's going to
be inconsistent.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, there was 2 very positive performances in terms of our offensive play. Elliot List made a massive difference from the bench again. Come on.
Scored another good goal. He doesn't do tap-ins, does he?
That seems to be his finish, doesn't it? That narrow one arrowed into the far corner.
Very similar to Matt Jarvis used to cut in, and whereas Jarvis used to cut in and fire it,
and bend it, whereas Listy just goes across in a straight line, sort of arrows it in, and that's probably the 3rd or 4th time he scored a goal like that now. Plymouth last season, last day.
Yeah. The Coventry one aside, that was outrageous.
Coventry, but again, it's hitting that far corner. I did tweet today. It took him 55 attempts to score his first 3 goals for us. He scored his last 3 in 7. 5 of his 6 have come from the bench. The only one that didn't come from the bench was
it Plymouth last season?
No, it was last week. Crawley.
Oh, okay.
At home. In the Checker Trade. That got us level, didn't it, I think? Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure he doesn't want to be labelled as a super sub. But at the moment, Medway Solskjaer?
You know, it kind of reminds me of when we had Jermaine McGlashan, where I used to think, as a starter, I thought he tired too quick and his impact faded.
But for 20-25 minutes,
he was outrageous. He was like a secret weapon on the bench.
Yeah.
I think until Hanlon does something majorly wrong, I don't think he is at the moment, then I think List will be 3rd choice.
It's becoming trickier now, though, I'd imagine, though, because now Listy's now got more than Hanlon. Yeah. He's got 4 and Hanlon's only got 3, and it was one for me this week. I wonder if it's to do with the link-up. Like, I think Hanlon and Eves probably link up slightly better than List and Eves. Well, yeah, but that comes because they've had more time together as well, doesn't it? So, but it's a nice problem to have, I suppose. And the final one, you just mentioned him, Mr. Eves, 12 in 22 now this season, I think it is. I see someone tweet today. He's still rubbish, though. He's really rubbish, honestly. No one wants to buy him. Worth the money. Nerves are still for that penalty, considering he's missed a couple for us. And it was a really good pen as well. It wasn't a scuff or anything like that. I think it was pick your spot, head down and wallop. And I think it had to be in there. We haven't really got anyone else in that. So I think Mark Burns taken 1 or 2. I think he's missed one and I think so. I don't know who else was on the pitch at the time. That's the thing. I don't think I've ever seen Elliot List take a penalty. No. Of course, if that goes wrong, then he's going down as the scapegoat. Would you say? Well, yeah, or probably Thomas Holy more, because then it's more emphasis on Thomas Holy's but he did put errors, it away, and that's the important thing. Yeah, we went from there, and thankfully we got it done. Max Amar. I was just going to say, I know defensively, we conceded 3 goals, but that Cheston finish for the first one. I think Lee Clifton tweeted and said he was really, really good last night. And then he actually scored when the ball fell to him for the penalty, and it's a really good finish. I'm not sure why the penalty was then given, but the one for me was that stretch for that cross. Yeah, it looked like, I don't know if it did go out, did it? But it looked like it was going. Well, I'm assuming that's what it was given for, because he can't have been offside, because he was practically in the crowd, and it came back, so no one could have been offside, and Listy nodded it in. But again, he's got there, hasn't he? He's busted it up. Superb effort to get to it, and to get it back into a dangerous area, and it was just unfortunate when it was ruled out. But yeah, all in all, a mad game. And it's one of them that thankfully we come out on the right side of. Yeah, definitely. It would have been a tough one to swallow if we'd lost or gone out on penalties or anything like that. And off to Slough a week Sunday, I believe. But before then, we do have the small matter of the league's 3rd highest scorers arriving in town on Saturday, and that is this lot. There always seems to be at least 1, maybe 2 every season that comes up from League 2 and goes on and gets promoted, or at least challenges. I mean, if you look at it over the last few years, there's been plenty, and you go back right to Stevenage a few years ago. Even from League 1 to a Championship. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Sorry, one comes up and keeps going. A lot of people tipped Luton to be that one, didn't they? Iden was 5th, which is exactly where they are at the moment. Their firepower was absolutely staggering. Nathan Jones highly rated at this level, I think, and he's another one who, like the players, he stepped up from League 2 because when he turned up, they was in a tricky position. He had to save them from relegation. He's done that, and they've gone from strength to strength since then. Obviously, we don't see a lot of them, but the highlights that I watch on the telly they look an absolute joy to watch when they're in full flow.
Frightening going forward.
But thankfully, their away form's not quite as good as it is at Kenilworth Road, where they're absolutely battering teams. I mean, they beat Plymouth 5-1 last week, and Plymouth were on a bit of a decent run in fairness, weren't they? But that come to a shuddering halt. In terms of last 6, they've taken 13 points from the last 18 available. They've won 4, drawn 1, and only lost 1. We've taken 7 in that period, which is 2 wins, a draw, and 3 defeats. At home, we have 2 wins and 4 defeats from our last 6, which is 6 from 18, and they have 8 from 18, which is 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 defeats. So that's nice and symmetrical. So thankfully, yeah, if we're looking for the positive from our point of view, they're not as prolific on the road. And I still persist with this. I know we lost back-to-back league games, Blackpool and Oxford, but I think there are signs that the home form is turning. But again, this will be a bigger test, won't it? It's all like beating Bradford, who are absolute shower at the moment. We were very good against Fleetwood. We said Blackpool was one of them games where it probably should have been a draw, but they took their chance and we didn't. And Hartlepool was a bad day at the office. But like I said to someone last week, I thought it was one of them games where last season or in recent seasons we'd have probably lost that home game against Hartlepool, but we managed to dig in and stay in the hat. And unfortunately we couldn't do it in the league last week at Oxford because it looked another game that was very similar where it
seems
was
to be
a few chances.
This season we kind of take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, don't we?
Yeah, I think I tweeted that last night. I mean, there was plenty of us
for a couple of weeks and then you're on a downer again.
Yeah, 100% that, because obviously Bradford and Fleetwood bought optimism again, and we were starting to think, win the game in hand against Blackpool and we can start eyeing up the top half, but then we lost that and then lost to Oxford, and now suddenly we're all looking over our shoulder again. But we have to go on a run. That's our problem at the moment, is we just cannot get on any semblance of a run, like 4, 5, 6 unbeaten. Even if you could pick up 2 wins and 4 draws in 6, you're going to be going the right way. Whereas at the moment, like you say, we win 2, then we lose 2, so it's
kind of defeats the object.
Back to square one. But back to their attacking threat, Danny Hilton's hardly played this season, but he's still got 5 in 8. I think he scored, 20, 25 goals at League 2 level last season. Elliot Lee, 6 in 15. James Collins, 7 in 16. They've got a lad that we had on loan a couple of seasons ago who's absolutely flying down there. That's Harry Cornick. We had him with...
we played him in every position.
Joe Quigley, didn't we, a couple of seasons ago, and he finally played the last few games, didn't he, after being injured for 3 months of his loan period, but...
yeah, he's certainly stepped up. Like right wing back, left wing back, striker.
I think it was another one of them Pennock pearls of wisdom where he said, he's a winger, and then we played him up front and number 10 for the whole time he was here, and it didn't really work. But good luck to him, he's doing well there. He's obviously found a club that fits him, and he fits into the club, so let's just hope they all have a bad day Saturday. Team news though, seems we have everybody available. Obviously the newspaper says permitting that no one got injured last night. I don't recall anyone coming off with an injury problem.
No.
Dean Parrott was unused on the bench. It says that Josh Parker's back from international duty, and it says that Callum Riley and Dean Parrott are both fully fit. Interesting, it does mention here that Navid Nasseri was another one that Steve Lovell did have a chat with at that time when it was some were being sent away. So
do you know because he felt he wasn't being used and we weren't on a great patch?
It was probably one I could understand, because we kept saying, why was he not playing a number 10 in the number 10?
Constantly in the squad.
Here it is. Josh had to get back on it. He means Parker, and I've had words with him, Navid Nasseri, Bradley Garson, Elliot List. They can't be average because I won't pick average. It's down to them. They either do it or they don't, and if they do it, then I will give them every opportunity to play. Full squad. So we've got no excuse now. I think I tweeted that yesterday, first half, and said, isn't this the first Scream squad?
Did Billy Bingham play the entire game last night?
I'm not sure.
I know he was involved in extra time, but I'm not sure whether he came off. But if he played for the entire game...
Well, that's interesting you brought that up, because he's one that I'd probably drop out this weekend, and there's one more again, and it might be controversial amongst some, because I know he had a decent game last night according to all the reports, but... Do we make changes? It's a massive journey up there and back, and it went to extra time, and it's not a Tuesday night, it's a Wednesday night.
As you say, we've got a full squad, we should probably use it.
Would be nice, because without beating that drum again, Steve Lovell does like to mention we have a decent squad, and when everyone's fit we'll win more games than we lose. And I was quite happy to eat humble pie last night, because I tweeted that during the first half. I genuinely couldn't see a way back for us at 2-0, and I thought we'd fall over, and I thought it was going to be embarrassing, and I thought maybe we might have been sat here talking tonight about Steve Lovell being in real trouble again.
I don't think personally he's completely out of it.
Of course he's not, because we're 18th or 19th. I think someone tweeted the other day, we've got the same points as we had at this stage last season, so we're not actually making progress, really, if you're looking at it in the cold light of day. But would you make changes?
Yeah, Bingham's the obvious one.
I think I've only made 2.
To be honest, Bingham was the only one I thought. I thought possibly Hanlon for List.
That was the one I couldn't make my mind up, but I persisted with Hanlon because, like you said, I don't think he's done enough wrong to deserve to be dropped. I made 2 changes. I've taken out Oldacre and Bingham, and I've put in Riley and Parrott. Regan Charles could, I think, come off after about
I wonder
an hour.
if Oldacre will carry on, because now he had a couple of games out the side.
Could be, yeah. But I've got no issue if Darren Oldacre plays if he's playing well.
I think if that's what he's going to do, if he's going to give him a couple and rest him a couple, it's probably
bench
not a bad
is tricky
thing.
now, though, isn't it, with everyone available? You're going to have quite a few missing out. I've gone with Hadler, Ogilvie, Garmston, Oldacre, Bingham, Parker and List, but Josh Parker only got back Tuesday, so it might be one that gets left out again. So another one, Josh Rees, I've left him at the 18th. That ball he played for List's goal last night, very, very good, with his weaker foot as well. So fair play to Josh Rees. It's nice to see him starting to run into some form. I think that's everything this week. There's a little bit about Henry Woods, who's just signed a first-year scholarship with the club, based in Southampton for the early part of his career. Scored a very good hat-trick in pre-season at Sheppey.
He done quite well in not just at Sheppey, he done quite well in pre-season, didn't
generally, he? And he come on last week, I think, didn't he, against Crawley in the Checker Trade, so that was his senior debut, which is great to see. Prediction time?
Because of their attacking threat, I will go 1-1. Tom Eaves to score. Oh, and you've got 1-1 Hanlon to score.
I've got to be right soon. Where's he gone? Not cheating. 1-1, Brandon Hanlon to score. I think it'd represent a decent points against a side that's in the playoffs.
We've then got another trip on Tuesday, haven't we?
We've got to go Bristol Rovers, yeah, that's going to be another 6-pointer. Is it? They're quite a way down there. Also, it could be, what would represent a good return? 2 points? 4 points?
I think 2's not the end of the world. 4 points would be
lovely.
Ideal.
I think if we can pick up 2 draws, it's that unbeaten run. We haven't got to keep winning all of them, but if we can keep picking up points and just pulling away from the bottom 4, then we'll be all right. So that's all from us tonight. As always, thanks for watching and doing all the usual. We will be at the ground Saturday for Matchday Live, and until next time, up the Jewels.